You are listening to selfdiscoveryradio.com with an orchard of wisdom just ready for your picking, filled with illuminating, inspiring stories. Do check out the community and the discovery stores. We are here for you. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of our authors. This is the Author's Kiss. Author's Kiss, why? Because it has a beautiful ability to take us deep into a story, deep into something that really is magical, and it is rather like a kiss of a book. So this is why the show is called that. And today we have a wonderful author who has written a series, Photogenesis. It's Before the Beginning by Alysia Helming. I'm your host, of course, Sara Troy, and here in Self-Discovery Radio, we love to bring you people who are inspirational and have something for you that helps you on your journey of life. So today, the journey is about a cultural fiction, an ancient mythology, the coverage of modern-day Greece. Is it a love story? What is it all about? Well, we're going to find that out today and find out more about Alysia herself and why she's written this book. There's a video that goes along with it too, a wonderful song, which I invite you to come and listen to as well by Costas. And this is not just the only book. There are many books here. So I want to go into her library of her writings and discover what inspires her to write these books, why ancient Greece, although I do understand because it's truly fascinating, but what made you take this path? So welcome to the show, Alysia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I love the name. I love the name of your show. So it's about a kiss, a magic
yes,
kiss.
Yes, it's the author's kiss. The author's kiss. Yes, yes.
Okay. I like that because when I think about my book series, there's a magical aspect to it, and there is definitely some kissing in it.
Yeah.
So, it's a fantasy romance.
Apropos.
So there's a little bit of everything in the book, but yes, the story is about ancient Greece, but it has a little bit of a twist to it, a little bit more of a modern day twist to it. It's about a 17-year-old girl. She's American. She goes to Greece. But when she's in America, she loses her mother, and it's all of a sudden, and then she finds out that she has this strange tie to Greece with this godfather that she never knew she had. So she finds a clue that her mother may still be alive, and in her heart, she feels this love pipe, this connection with her mother that she's always had, and she feels that it's alive. So she has to go. She thinks her mother is alive, and she's in Greece. Mm-hmm. So she goes there. And it's a completely new experience for her because she's not Greek. And very much like me in my real life, I am not Greek. I had no idea about the culture, the people, anything about it. I'd only been there one day on a cruise ship. Went to the Parthenon in the, in the middle of the summer when it was super hot. And I was just like, I'm not sure I want to come back to this. But so I didn't feel that magical experience the first time I went. And in some ways, she's also that way. She comes and she's experiencing the culture and everything for the first time with very innocent eyes of a teenager. And she meets two boys, a really, really wealthy Greek boy and one who's struggling with the economy and the crisis and everything that's going on. And through her eyes, you can experience that crisis that's there. You can experience the hope and the perseverance that the people have that we don't hear about in the news very often.
Right.
And through that journey, she also discovers this new world, magical world, that I won't give away here, but it includes the gods, and it's a new way of looking at the gods that hasn't really been done.
And really, when we're looking at it, actually, the ancient teachings going way back before there was the control teachings, per se of religion, they were based very intuitively with the universal gods and with understanding philosophy and everything else. And then we seemed to steer away from that and went down a different path, which became very, very controlling and a lack of your own intuition, your own connection. It was kind of give it up and you have no connection whatsoever. And there is a need for humanity to kind of go back and make that connection again. And when we look at ancient Greece and we look at any of the ancient cities that first kind of came into how we connect to the universe, to the teachings, to the knowingness, we do have to go back to those original teachings. But of course, we're going to look at things through totally different eyes because we're in a modern culture with modern technology, modern perspectives. We've stepped into ownership and discovery ourselves and less dictation or doctrine from others. So it's quite magical to actually look at these ancient philosophies through modern eyes today, and especially of a young woman that's in her self-discovery and what she discovers about herself. So it's you know, it may be a love story or an investigative story, but always when you read these books, and this is why I call it the author's kiss, is that there is always something about ourselves we find in there, isn't there? You know, as you're taking the journey in the book, is I relate to that. That could be me. And you've already said there's a bit of you in there. Did you start off that way with, you know, kind of if you were there or your perspective, or is it something that kind of wrote itself as you were writing it?
I would say definitely the latter. I actually wasn't even into mythology. My 17-year-old niece, she was very passionate about mythology. I had just finished at UCLA's screenwriting program, and I had written a nonfiction screenplay. So my background was in nonfiction writing. And she's like, can we write a book together? And I thought, well, okay, this is a great project together. She was 17 and she got a scholarship to Germany where she had to speak German for the year, so she couldn't write the book. She's like, okay, go ahead and write your story, but here's the 10 things you cannot include in your story. So one of them was, you can't write about Athena, you can't have a moonstone necklace, you cannot have an owl, which is Athena's animal, and then the last one was, you cannot set the story in the United States. So I was like, well, geez, what am I going to do? Because they always tell you, write what you know, right?
Yes.
That's like rule number one. And so I was like, well, I don't really know that many other places, so I'm just going to pick one. And I thought, well, there aren't that many young adult fiction books that are set in Greece.
Yeah.
And why not? That is the beginning of all of this.
Yes.
This is where it's all from. But then I realized, well, I don't really know it, and I'm on the internet trying to figure out as much as I can about it without going there. Like I said, I've been there one day on a cruise ship. So what do you do if you don't know the culture? Well, you have to go there.
Yes.
So that's what ended up happening. But when I first started my writing process, I used faces that represented the characters that I had in my head, because I'm a very visual person. And I put these faces up on the wall, and it guided kind of the feeling of the person that I was writing. But they were people that I had no idea who they were for the most part, just random faces. And I didn't know the names or anything about them. And so 6 months after writing, I'm on the plane, getting off the plane with my sister, going from the airport to the hotel, and alongside the road, there's these banners. And it's a thing they do in Greece where there's big singers have their banners about their show that's coming up. And they're all older, you know, they look very distinguished and such. I was writing a teenage novel, so my characters on the wall were very young looking and very, you know, teenage-ish. Well, so this face just kept reappearing, and it was the face of the boy that I had written, but he was a man now.
Synchronicity.
That was the boy. My sister's like, I think no, that can't be. This cannot be happening. She's like, no, I think. And so he really was a real guy, and he did live. He's a famous singer, and he lives in Athens, which is where my story was set. He's a singer, and my character was the lead singer in his band. So they had that immediately the same. And then when we got to the hotel, because I couldn't read his name, it was in Greek, so I didn't know his name. I asked the concierge, first thing, can you find this singer for me? He has blue eyes, brown hair. She's like, there are many, many singers here that have that look. So she scrolls through Google, and then like the 20th face pops up, and there he is. She's like, oh, Costa. Well, he lives down the street. He lives very close by. He comes here, and he knows the owners of the hotel. And oh my goodness, like who knows, right?
Yes.
It's so weird.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because you put it out there. You know, this is the thing what people don't understand about energy. You're already putting it out there. And it's the universe has a wonderful way of steering you down the right path. So, you know, basically you've
exactly.
pre-ordered, right? So when you got there, the places and the
Yes,
people were there ready for their role,
they
you
were.
know, center stage.
Yes. Okay. So what happened was my sister was teasing me after that. Like
Mm.
everywhere we would go, she'd say, "Oh, there he is. There he is." You know, like go. And I'd be like, "Ah, oh no." And in my mind, I had only written half the book. So I didn't want to meet the man and find out he was different than the
Mm.
character that I'd written. So I was like, did not want to meet him. So that was not good that she was doing this to me. So then we went to the beach later that day, and we're laying, you know, enjoying the sunset, doing the things you do in Greece. And there's a man, he's asleep next to us with a hat on his head. I have no idea, but I just noticed his tattoo. It's these birds. They're very freeing. And I have a golden eagle in the prologue of my book.
Ah.
So really, how beauty of that. It captures me, right? Well, so I remembered that. I went back to my room. I finally had this guy's name. And so I Googled him. And on Instagram, there was a photo of him on the beach, time stamped, when I was there with the bird tattoo. He was sitting next to me on the beach.
You can't
Like,
fight it, honey.
that me was like, wake up, because I was like, should
Yeah.
I write it? Should I not? Should I
Yeah.
finish the book? I was like, I have to finish the
Yeah.
book. This is it. Could not be more clear,
Yeah.
right?
No.
So that was it.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the magic.
You were being pushed and directed along the way, and this is the thing, is that you can't fight it. You know, it's those aha moments, the universe pushing you in the right direction. You wanted to write this book, you wanted the information. Well, here are the people for you. You know, why are you're going to turn away from that? And it's
Yeah,
but it's so funny how it all happens, is that so many people are going, you know, what is the answer? And it's always slap bang in front of them. It's no, not that one. Yeah,
right.
that's the answer. No, not that one. That's
Yeah.
the answer.
I'm like, I'm married. I have a son. You know, like I don't want to. You know, and I'm thinking I'm writing a romance, and there's the guy. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, right? He's a lot. He's a lot younger, and I've. What happened was I decided to go back because that trip was so magical. And right
Yeah.
after that, we went on some tours and got some basic information. And what I realized is I needed to go back again. So I went back 2 more times. And each time I would meet more people and more people, mostly from that concierge who I
Mhm.
originally met. And it was really funny because I told her when I was almost finished with the book that I wanted to meet him finally. I was like, I really feel like I need to meet this guy because this is crazy. I just want to say thank you, you know, or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm sure some people around here know him, and you'll figure it out. And so she would introduce me to people that somehow might know him, and it became a little bit of a game for me. And
Where's
the
Waldo?
day before I, right, on the third trip, the day before I was scheduled to leave, she goes, well, I have a little secret to tell you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, well, I know him. And I know someone that knows him, and I got you a meeting. So you're going to meet him tonight. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're kidding. All along, you've been here with me and you haven't
Yeah.
shown me, you know.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I wanted to make sure you were for real, that you weren't, you know, stalker
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
She's a big celebrity, and I want to make sure. And she and I became really close friends through this process. Her birthday's 2 days from mine, so we
Mm.
have the Aries connection, and really good energy with her. So when I finally met him, immediely it was told him the story that I told you, and he was like shocked by that. But he also remembered being at the beach that day and knew the story. So he's like, "Wow, that's just crazy." And from there, we became friends. And he was trying to figure out a way that he could involve himself in the project. I went to just say thank you, and he said, "No, no, I want to thank you." So he decided to write the song for the book.
Ah, which we do have
And
here on the posting. So please
yeah,
do listen to it.
exactly. So that's how the song came about. He took
Mhm.
some of my poems that
Mhm.
he asked me, have you written any poems? And I said, yes, I have. And I sent them. He chose 2. He hired a lyricist and a musical producer. And they put the whole song together. And then it wasn't quite working. So then he invited me to come to the studio. And that's when we realized we need a really nice instrumental to make it really an amazing song. So we hired the top clarinet player in Greece, who, it almost sounds like the saxophone with the clarinet. So it's really, really interesting. And the song is just magical because of all of that collaboration.
Yeah. I always call the saxophone kind of the saxophone. There's something about the music that is just so, yeah. And it definitely adds a totally different tone to the song. It sets a different mood altogether. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good move. Definitely.
Yeah. But, and because I used to be a ballet dancer, I've been a supporter of San Francisco Ballet for years. And I had been watching this dancer who had been moving up the ranks. And I met her at an event. And I said, would you be interested in dancing in a music video with my Greek rock star? And she looked him up and she's like, yes, this is amazing. I've been looking
what a chore. You're going to make me suffer.
I know. She's like, get me to Greece and I'll do it. And I was like, okay. And so it just so happens the year that she came, because it took a whole year to arrange all of that, she became principal dancer. She got promoted that year, right? As soon as the music video was in production and should come out. So it was perfect timing.
Yes.
It just all worked out.
It sounds to me that absolutely everything to do with this book has just been one synchronistic event that has led you, to bringing this all together. And, this was what makes the journey even more interesting, isn't it? A lot of people think that you're writing in isolation, no contact with anyone else, but it's the way you've brought everything in together that's melded into this, not just the book being a great story, but the story of how the book came together as being a great story as well.
Yes. And also I believe it's the hope that it brings the people there, because there's been over 500 people now that are in all walks of life that have contributed to the book in some way, and they've watched my journey through 15 plus trips. I've been there many times now and I've gotten to know them. And so they all feel, I feel like I can't quit because I have all of them behind me, like a wall of people behind me.
Yeah.
So if there's a bad review or there's something bad that happens for a minute, I think, look at the big picture here.
Yes.
Like I can't stop because the trajectory is here.
Right. And, that's only one person's opinion. That's the thing, is everybody's going to have a different view of things, right? And it's, and we don't sweat the small stuff. We don't take it personally, right? Because that's just an opinion. And there'll always be critics, always.
Yes.
Now, I have been to Greece, but I have to admit it was back in 1975 when I was young and out there exploring my own life. And I fell in love with Greece. And I did Athens, and then I did Crete, and I did Corfu, and I was there over about a 5-week period, and it was before the tourist season opened up, so everybody was getting ready, and so I was there pre-opening, and I was just so welcomed, and everybody was just, in their homes, immersed in their life, everything, and I rented this very small little car. And I was driving along, and then one day I seemed to take a turn, and I was going up. It looked like a mountain path. And then all of a sudden there's people in these houses and they're coming out, Yesu, Yesu, Yesu. And then I seem to be driving by an army base and everybody's shouting hello. And
it's such a great
so welcoming, plus the food to die for. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know, it's been amazing.
And I remember walking on the Parthenon barefoot and just kind of feeling the history and the vibration through that marble and everything else. And I know that Greece has been going through a lot of problems in the last few years, a lot of issues. There's the economics, there's obviously the refugees, there's the fires they've had a lot of stuff. But when you look at the history of how it's managed to hold together, and always based in that theology, that wisdom, that culture that keeps them together, that it just shows us that no matter what transition we go through in life, and every country is going to do so, just as we do in our own lives, that if you've got that foundation of philosophy within you, it will always weather you through. So, it's just a wonderful culture there, and a wonderful place, and a really juicy place when it comes to writing stories, because there's so much to pull from. As already you've had everything just present, the guy, everything else. But also with the old culture mixed with the new culture, did you find it, with coming from absolutely nothing to actually writing this book, that when you got onto that path of discovery of the culture and then being able to write about it, that you yourself was just as intrigued and fascinated where it was going to go?
Totally, totally.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew who I was going to meet.
Yeah.
It was almost as if each trip, I always type, "Let the magic begin," and that's what I post.
Yes.
As I'm on the airplane going there, because it is, for me, a magical experience. For instance, I got to work with one of the leading excavators of the Agora, ancient Agora site, which is the birthplace of democracy. And so it's a very special place. When you go to Athens, it's right in the center of Athens. And this excavator he's a famous archaeologist professor and such. His name's John Camp, and he's been honored all over the place, even in the United States, American Classical School. And through the concierge, I met the director of that school, and then he introduced me to John Camp, and then I was able to actually go to the site and work a little bit, and just for a little while, which was interesting. And to see how detailed they have to be with their notes and the whole process, and very particular, and how everything has to be categorized and refrigerated. And it was fascinating. But what ended up happening was I was struggling with a chapter about where to make the scene happen, come to life. And it's a very magical scene. So from that site, I came up with a spectacular scene. And now it's down to the detail. When you're in that chapter, you're learning about everything that I learned.
Right. Well, that's what's so beautiful about books, isn't it? Is, faction. You're taking fact and entwining it with their fiction, right? And then, that's actually how I've always learned. The boring history books on this date, this and this happened, was just not capturing. But when you read a novel based in a certain era with certain people that were intriguing, you remembered every detail, because you were kind of transported into their lives, living that life at that time. And I think that's what makes it so much more exciting and something you're going to remember.
Right, exactly. And, we were just talking about that criticism I received. It was around my book having too much detail in that area. Because you go to a book as a regular young adult book, you want to escape.
And a little education's okay. A little education's okay with it.
And I put a lot of detail in there. But it has been streamlined quite a lot. It does still move quite fast. Right. It's just that there is a lot of detail. And the myths, I had mythology experts weigh in. So the myths are exactly as the people in Greece would see the myths, and they're all experts, believe me. Right. I had the myths wrong compared to so I learned a lot.
You do. That's the thing, is that there is the critique of something to make something better, and the criticisms of just jaded people. But I would love the detail, because for me it's kind of the building blocks. But again, somebody else, as you said, it's just the pure escapism. But I don't think there's any harm whatsoever in interjecting some good educational details along the way there, because when they put the book down and then they have paid more attention to Greece now, and they go, oh yeah, that was in the book, that's real. Right? And then suddenly it opens up a whole new world of wonderment.
Well, I know, like Dan Brown, for instance, had some criticism around that. Some of his details that he put in there, people started to go, what's real and what's not real? And that brought a lot of discussion about those topics out. Whether you like the topics or not, it still brought about that. So
conversation's good.
Conversation's really good. And I've been speaking to some very large universities in political science and Hellenism and such in the United States, who are possibly interested in using this as maybe a textbook.
Wow, that's really great. And the fact that there is a love story and everything else entwined in there, that captures, yeah, exactly, not the boring detail book, but a story of intertwinement. Yeah, I that's wise for them to be thinking that way, definitely.
Yeah. And I was an economics major and a chief financial officer for 4 companies. So my background's in business and economics before the writing. Right. This is my second career.
Yes.
And So I know what it's like to have that, boring textbook kind of experience. And this is a different way of learning.
Yes.
More fun.
Much more exciting. So when Costas read the book, did he say, "You've got me"?
Oh, no. Well, so here's what's interesting about that. He did not speak that much English when I met him.
Okay.
And my book was only in English. And so the only thing that he read of the book was when I would read it out loud to him. So I had to pick sections, and as I sat next to him, I would read the book to him, and then he would stop me and say, "How did you know that about me?" What? I've never told anyone. So when he's interviewed about it in Greece, he says it was really weird the first time that he heard the story, because he was trying to figure out how on earth I would know things about him.
But that's the thing, all the way along the line, you were meant to meet him. He was meant to be the story, right? With the whole connection, everything. So it's almost, that again, that cosmic imprint was given to you. And it just happened to reflect someone that's actually there that you get to meet, which is mind-blowing, really mind-blowing. So really cool. A writer's dream, because believe me, that doesn't happen to every writer.
Yeah, and it's been really nice getting to know him, personally as well, because he's a really good person. He's a nice person, and I wasn't sure what I was going to get with a famous singer. He could be a diva,
Oh, and I've known a few of those.
Yeah. So, but in terms of our projects together, we made a series of 6 short films around Athens that take you off the beaten path. The locations that are in the book are in the films, and it's being promoted by Discover Greece, which is a big nonprofit tourism site.
Wonderful.
To help drive tourism to Greece.
So they can read the book, take a wonderful magical journey, learn some things about it, then go to the movies, or go to the movies first, that actually say it's in the book, this is the experience, this is the factual, right?
Exactly.
And
right.
I mean, we know that Greece is not just the philosophy, culture, beginning of democracy, but it is a romancing culture. It is a place that you go for romance. Or even if you're on your own, not seeking romance, there is a certain flavor of romance there. Because it is a very romantic place, which doesn't mean to be boy meets girl, girl meets boy. It just, in that romancing of the history of what has been before, what is still to come, it really brings you into that frame of mind. So there's a lot of reasons to meet there, but then with the book and the movies, it's just so many more places to go and discover.
Right. And that's a small scale movie series. And then we're working on some projects in Hollywood right now.
Nice.
So we have a large production company that has signed with us.
Wonderful.
And we're moving forward on some projects, which is really exciting. And the other exciting thing is that Costa has invested his time in my business, and so he's an owner in my company now. So we company partners, and my husband's part of that too. So we're all a team.
Right.
And it's all moving forward. It's like this Greek American collaboration of unlikely people that would meet and work together, trying to make something. And his English is improved. Now he's almost fluent in English. So,
right. I mean, just look at how this all started. Did you say it was your sister or your niece that started
with my niece, and then my sister went on the trip with me.
Right. So and you knew nothing about Greece, and you've got to do this, and that's how it all started. And you just look at where it's gone from there. I mean, it's just, never mind the book, never mind the movies, never mind what's coming up. It's, as I said, there's a story just in the journey itself that is extraordinary.
Totally. So there's one more really interesting thing that I don't tell very many people, but because of you and your background with your show,
we won't tell everybody.
Intel. Okay. So the hotel that I ended up going to that very first time, and I always go back and stay there. I feel magic in this place.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the Parthenon. You know the Parthenon?
Yes.
Right? There's the Temple of Poseidon, which is south of Athens.
Yeah.
And then you have the Temple of Artemis, which is on an island next to Athens, right across. So if you connect the dots geographically, it makes
Mm-hmm.
a perfect right triangle,
Mm-hmm.
which is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, which is like Pythagorean theorem stuff, right?
Yep.
Right in the center of that triangle, you exactly create that spot,
It's the
is
hotel.
the temple. It's the temple of Apollo,
All right.
Zoster, which is on a beach, which is right next to the hotel that I go to and have stayed at. And I didn't know this until
Yeah.
the 8th visit.
Mm.
And then I'm like, what?
Yeah. The fractalization of the triangle, which always coordinates. And of course, when you look at the scholars of Greece, you know, they were very heavy into the math equation, the geometry, you know, the planning. None of those temples would have been put up haphazardly. They all would have
No.
been put up in an alignment. And because everything, you know, had that meaningful purpose, because they were wonderful scholars of the universe and what the universe told them to build and to do, and to why there was a meaning behind everything. And
Right?
I mean, if you can open up the minds of people right now, you've titillated them with a wonderful story. There's facts in there, there's the video, movies, and everything that's coming out. But if you've opened up the minds of really wanting now to delve back into the philosophy of where it all started, and understand the geometrics and the mathematics and the numerology and the astrology and everything that comes from there, it actually answers so much of our today's questions of understanding where we are now, and opening up to that universal connection, and understanding more of our purpose of why we're here. So you've opened quite a number of doors here.
Yes, I have. Yes.
And you didn't think you were going to do that, did you?
No, I didn't. And along the lines of that triangle and that math that you were just talking about.
Fractal math, yeah.
Yes. Pi
Yeah.
and 3.14 is a
Yes.
very, very big number in Greece. Like the Parthenon, the geometry of that itself is based on 3.14. Well, I didn't know any of that either. Recently, we signed with 3.14 Records to launch the book. Okay. Then I was like, whoa, that's weird, because my wedding anniversary with my husband is March 14th, Pi Day. So we've always laughed about that, right? And then my mom's like, you were born at 3:14 a.m. Like there's 3 instances of 3.14, and then I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes.
This is what I'm telling you about.
You are truly on your life pattern. You know, so many people go off their pattern and they're busy, resistant, looking for it elsewhere. And, you know, because of your second career, you honored your redirect, you know, where you're meant to go. You didn't dictate where you went to go. You were in self-discovery of where it was going to take you. Right. And from there, it ended you being put on the right path because you were willing, you allowed, what we call that surrendering to allowing, surrendering to receiving. And when you do that, you're on that right path. And then just look at the synchronicity of everything that's happened. You could not have imagined any of this happening at the beginning of that journey. But you allowed it to happen, and just look at what is happening.
Yeah. And now anytime something strange happens, people go, of course. Okay. Not shocking.
Well, you're a prime example of honoring your path, because you've completely synchronized yourself on the right vibration, on the right path. And then from that, it's just, you know, the expansion, because the universe is all about destruction, creation, whatever dies, there's life that comes from it. And when we actually understand that, you step into that creativity, it brings about an end of something and a beginning of something else. So even though the book came to an end, then the movies came out, and then they came to an end, as something else has come out. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's just that allowing all of these things to come into being. What an extraordinary journey. What a lucky girl you are.
It was on the wall, so it's a little messy here, but if you can see, but I have the face. There's Costa on the wall.
Yes.
And then I have the other characters too right here. So
right.
You can see map of Athens. This is all my original stuff on the wall. All my stuff.
Excellent.
So it's yeah.
Well, this is the, you know, people say why this and why that, and the question really is, why not? If it feels right, if it feels right. You know, I mean, when you look at the best authors, they did not dictate how the book was going to go. They had an outline. They had my brother is a professional author, so very often he has these characters he wants to write about, and he's very disciplined because he teaches it as well. So he's very disciplined about writing his chapters and getting into the flow and the work of it. But he doesn't know where they're going to go or what they're going to become. And I think that's the true art of writing. It's not about, I'm going to have my every chapter labeled, I'm going to know exactly what the ending is, I'm going to know this, that, etc. I think you're investigating these characters that have come into your mind in a place, in a situation. And just as these shows are just as much my discovery as my audience discovery of you, that's what writing is about. Because it's discovery of where these characters take you. And everybody I've interviewed that's an author have always said is that the sheer delight is actually, where are you going to be taken? Right? Who are you going to discover on this journey? Because you may be typing it out, but you're channeling it.
Totally channeling. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, is there a book too?
I can't drink any alcohol at all, and it
yeah, exactly.
It kind of puts a damper on the
you're already intoxicated with the channeling. Yeah, exactly.
I am, exactly.
Yeah. So is there a book too?
There are 6 more books.
6.
And, the whole series has already been totally outlined. So now it's refining outlines.
Yeah.
As the books come to me, those outlines will change, I'm sure.
Yes.
Just like this.
Yes.
But to go back to Greece, I plan to keep on experiencing the culture there and the people, and the TV series I have under development is called Meet Me in Greece, and that's about that journey of going there and the magic that happens and the people and the coincidences and all of that.
No such thing as coincidences. Well, it's just alignment.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever comes, then we'll be on that.
Yeah.
And so I'll be continuing to share the story and bringing hope to the people, I hope, and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
and in a way, there's a complete love affair with Greece now with you, isn't it? I mean, you're so utterly entwined with it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's amazing how a country can get into your blood. When I was traveling, my 3 countries were Greece, Italy, and Spain. And they're all kind of the Mediterranean type countries. And, they just wove themselves into my psyche, into my being, into my vibration. And, the wonderful memories of them, going back in time. And I think that one of the things that that's a really good lesson amongst all the other lessons that you're teaching here in this book is to be willing to step outside of what you know, be willing to take a totally different path, financial, writing, there may be the same disciplines in there, maybe the way you approach some of the stuff with the skills that you had before, but we have to step into our passion and be willing to explore that, and also understand there is no such thing as safety, a safety gate. It's the risk that you're taking, but if you're doing it from the heart and the soul and allowing the spirit to guide you, look at where you can end up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The only thing I would say is be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Because you put it out there and you just surrender to it, right? You surrender, this is it. This is what I'm working on. I'm open to whatever it is. And sometimes it doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen.
Oh, no, never does.
But it ends up being so much better, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing.
In my own parallel right now is that I'm actually in my 6th year of hosting. And when I first started off my first show, it was a Monty Python skit. I pressed all the wrong buttons and planes flying over, you name it. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I did live shows for 13 months before I opened up my own network. And when I opened up my own network, I just wanted to be able to get more people's voices on. They've been through their journey. What they've learned is they're sharing it with the audience who are on their journey. It's inspiration. It's invitation. It's sharing that wisdom. And, now I'm 6 years hosting, 5 years in June of my own network, collectively 1,900 shows on here, and expanding now into video, into more books, into other programs. I didn't know it was going to go on this journey. You know, I just started off with one little show, and here we are, and I'm in my meaningful purpose. And so this is the thing, we really have to get out of our head sometimes with the buts. Yes, but, you know, what if this happens? Or I can't do this, I can't do that. It's amazing what you learn along the journey when you are truly immersed in the journey.
Absolutely. And keep your eye on it.
Yes.
You know? Don't allow yourself to be
Yeah,
taken off by all
right.
that.
The chatter, other
It's
people's chatter or inner chatter or anything else, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because if you don't know something, all you have to do is investigate and you'll know, right?
Yeah.
Don't let doubt, don't let what you don't know hold you back, because I mean, just look at, for you, I mean, for you really, for a lot of people, they just don't see the signs because maybe they're more subtle. I mean, you had neon signs, literally.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You are going to do this.
Yes, exactly. There was,
Okay.
you know, resistance is futile.
Right. It felt that way. I mean,
But,
even, yeah, like my husband, for instance, I have a son who's young, and my husband did not take care of my son that often before. So
right.
when I first left on that first trip, it was the first time I'd ever been away from my son since he was born. And so my husband's like, okay, what do I do? I have no idea. You know, and of course he rose to the occasion, and that helped their relationship.
Yes.
Because they began doing things that fathers and sons do a lot more often. And what came of that is, yes, I'm away more often, but they have a much better bond, and when we're together, it's really strong and really amazing.
And also more appreciation of the parent role, right? Because it's always the mother does it, but when the father steps into it, is more appreciation of what you actually do, which is good. But it also, it unites the family dynamic so much more, strengthens it.
Yes. And my son's gone to Greece with me twice. He's gone to summer camp there. So he knows more Greek than I do, which is great. But so it's been a exploration for our entire family and enhanced all aspects of my life.
Right. And, you know, going back to the book with, you know, a love story, you know, a love story within a love story for Greece, with learning, you know, about the history and the culture, being able to actually look at it through today's eyes and exactly what it means, all this ancient culture, what it means to today. I mean, opens up so many conversations, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And because I come in with somewhat of a innocent perspective to the politics and the economists and people like that, because they see me as a fiction writer, right?
Yes.
They open up much more so, you know, than they would if I were a journalist or whatever. So I kind of have insights there that I'm not going to share, but
a better understanding.
They come out subtly in my books.
Yes,
you'll understand some of the issues there that are happening, very much ingrained in the culture and in how things happen. And so it's intriguing.
It's often hard too for a culture that is so set fast in such an ancient history that the transitioning into the modern world is so much slower and so much more resistance. And I think a lot of the time is not, there is the fear of them losing the culture and that the youth are just going to go completely the other way. But where it comes into is actually immersing that culture into the modern day, showing the youth how they can use all this beautiful ancient knowledge in you know, in partnership with modern day outlook and modern day technologies. You're not losing anything. You are, you know, passing it on in a different package. But we have to be willing to grow, don't we, with the times and not get stuck in what was.
Yes, exactly. You know, and I was also fascinated with the Greek Americans, and also some of these huge shipping families that are international shipping families that are Greek, that have their hands in a lot of things everywhere, and they're brilliant, and they're smart, and they know business, and they're very savvy. So there's that whole aspect of very amazing, impressive people all over the place that are Greek that I never even.
Sorry, been a technical issue here, a little wobbly. Hopefully you'll be back in a second. Oops, sorry folks. This is the wonderful thing about technology. Oh,
Yes.
got you back, good. We got you back. You went a bit wobbly there for a moment. Are you with me? Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but you're going a bit wobbly, in and out there. That's, again, the beautiful thing about the internet. You know, we can go to the moon, we can send things around all the universe, but we still have this connection issue with the internet. So that's something else, that another topic. But
Yes.
I lived in South Africa for a number of years, and many, many Greek people were there. And, you know, a lot of people just think Greek people open up Greek restaurants, but many of the industries and things there were being run by high profile. And I got introduced to a lot of Greek people. And as you said, very savvy, very welcoming. And, you know, just, and something that really is very, an exuberance for life that we could really learn from.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So the next book is now to be written.
It's Island, and I'm trying to write it, but while I'm promoting, it's 2 different hats to put on. So I mom, by the way, because that is my job. So I'll be writing some finish that book.
Okay, I think we caught that you'll be writing that after the promotion is going on of the movies and everything else that's going on there promoting this book. Sorry, you're going in and out a little bit there. So for people who want to see the videos, who want to get the book, who want to, you know, just follow your entire journey, where do they go? How do they do that?
It's called protogenesis.com. So it's proto, like before, Genesis, which means the beginning. Those are Greek words, all one word. Protogenesis.com.
And they can also get hold of you on Facebook, of Alysia Helming Novelist on Facebook. And you also have your website. Is your website your name, or is it under the book's name?
It's protogenesis.com.
Okay, so protogenesis.com. And sorry, love?
The name of the book is Protogenesis.
Photogenesis.com. Excellent. And, you know, highly recommend you get the book.
Yeah.
Proto, P-R-O-T-O, Genesis, G-E-N-I-E-S-I-S.com. Excellent. And, you know, highly recommend, I mean, listen to the video here, the video that we've just done, obviously, but also the video of the music of Costas. Definitely get the book and start taking a journey. And, you know, this isn't just for youth. This is for anybody. You know, there is no age bracket around this book, is there?
No. It's supposed to be young adult, but it appeals to everyone.
Right. Yeah, my brother wrote a lot of young adult, and I love them. I love them because it's, again, looking at things from the young's perspective. It brings out our spirit and our youthfulness, you know, and a little bit of our exploratory that as we get older, sometimes we forget. So, you know, the youthful books are ones that I think are a good reminder that you're still living and there's still fun out there. You know, it's still things to explore, which I think is wonderful. So they can get the book from protogenesis.com, and the videos are on there as well.
Yes.
Sorry, folks, we are having a bit of a problem here with you cutting in and out. So the videos are on the.
They are. They're on there. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out.
It's just probably good old internet, but and of course everything else that's coming up will all be announced there on the site as well, right? The extended movie and everything else that you've aligned with, everything is going to be announced on the site.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, this has been a delight. I can't wait to get the book, and I just love the story behind the story. You know, when you actually hear this and then you go and read the book, you know, it becomes so much more exciting in reading the book, knowing how the journey came about. And that this was just as much as your exploration in writing the book, you know, as it is as in reading it. And then to follow the journey and where it's gone and where it's going from there. Because so often you read a good book and it's like it comes to an end and it's like, well, what's next? I want more. And you've got plenty more to give people down the road. So they can start off with this journey with reading the book, watching the videos, following your journey, and then be hungry to devour the next books and anything else that comes along. So thank you so much for sharing this today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
This has been an absolutely wonderful journey. Makes me want to go back to Greece. Most certainly, I loved it. It was absolutely a beautiful place. Can't wait to read the book, look at the videos. And folks, please open up your minds to things allowing, because when you step into that path, look what happens. Look at all the synchronicity and everything that took her on the journey that she's doing now. It can happen to you too if you just step into that allowingness, follow the lead. Don't dictate where it should be. Explore it. Be your own self-discovery, and you never know where you could end up, because Alysia didn't, and look where she is now. So kudos to you, love. Kudos to you for following your path. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Alysia. And to everyone else, don't be willing to spread your wings and explore your life, because you just don't know where it's going to end up or who it's going to benefit. So until next time, folks, bye for now.